How's it going today, November 7th, 2005? 2025, I mean. The issue, one of the main events that occurred for the past week is the election of Mandani. Well, I think it's Zorhan Mamdani as the mayor of New York, which is one of the most interesting historical developments of our time. Very fascinating indeed. As is it less than 25 years after 9/11, a man who identifies himself as a Muslim has been elected mayor of New York. Now, I don't want us to get distracted by the fact that he's Muslim, because Islam does not agree with anything that left-wing policies um, advocate for. Not even socialism. You know, I don't think you can bring socialism to Saudi Arabia or even Iran. But people who has been to American or Canadian universities will believe anything because it's all about indoctrination. Now, the issue I have, one of the main issue I have now with New York is with regards to its future, is that the majority of who voted for Mandani are newcomers to New York. Now, Mandani is charismatic. He knows how to rile up a crowd, and all you have to do to be in good favor with majority of these used to the idiots is to just call Donald Trump's name. Now, the issue is this though, like, you don't really need, he doesn't really need to produce, just like Justin Trudeau in Canada. All he has to do is win, because it's about the trivial titles of leadership without even the deeds of leadership. Now, I don't think he's a very honorable man, because half the things he promises, it's impossible to implement. But at the same time, we are in the rhetorical era, and we are fighting the rhetorical wars. And all it will boil down to is about socialism versus the billionaires. Whatever sense you can make of that. Nowhere else in the world does this type of pseudo social warfare exist except in the Western countries. Yeah, you don't go to like you don't go to any Muslim nation and see socialism versus billionaires. But this is the side effects of indoctrination in the Western universities. Now, the thing about Mamdani is that he'll not be able to control the destruction. He'll not of the New York. Or will he not not be forced to contribute to it even further? Now, my prediction is that New York will become the poster child of a failed city. Even worse than Detroit. Detroit failed because of an economic shift in manufacturing. But New York will fail because, as many thinkers these days metaphorically get it correctly, they'll say that people keep voting for the ox when the forest is getting smaller. Now, homelessness was once a crime in North America. Like you see somebody homeless, it's either they were really down on their luck or they're mentally unstable. But because even crackheads never used to sleep on the street. This is a whole different new phenomenon. And one thing I realized during COVID was what I call the materialization of the proles in George Orwell's 1984. In that the homeless people were happy no matter what. They weren't worried about when the country was going to reopen. They weren't worried about lockdowns. They totally just existed because the government was giving them free money to buy drugs. And they weren't concerned. They weren't even concerned about being infected by the so-called disease, COVID. Now were they concerned about going back to work? The economy doesn't matter to them if they are non-playing characters. And we have created a very fascinating culture going forward in what we call now the introduction of the useless class, especially in the era of automation. And Mamdani is a catalyst in this dystopian future of Earth. And the thing about it is that just like Justin Trudeau, he'll never be blamed for the deterioration and the degeneracy. It will just be normalized, and then just like Goldstein in 1984, the rich will just become the villain all the time. And those people will just envy. Now, Jordan Peterson has always talked about the ending of one of the scariest things he thinks about is the ending of Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto, when it calls for the rising up of the working class against of the proletariats against the bourgeoisie. Well, maybe he's over exaggerating what that statement means, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's a call for action, and it's a powerful one. But is it a proactive call for action? And if so, what will be the outcome if people gravitate to Karl Marx's call for action? I mean, if you have 3 bananas, probably you're the bourgeoisie. If some guy feels that he's too lazy to go down the street and pick one. Now, what we also have is very unorthodox ways of remedies of coping with the current economic and social atmosphere. In Canada, Justin Trudeau was advocating for medical assistance in dying made to policies to take care of mental illness and all sort of stuff. And then we have the phenomenon of people who are just way too drugged up to move in the fentanyl fold, as implemented, as indicated in the thumbnail of this video. Now, the thing about it is that, can he be stopped from destroying New York and creating the, what we call not, I would say the poster child, we have to use creating like the model city of deterioration. Like the poor will exist with the powerful. The powerful will be very productive, the powerful, which is probably will be the political class, will be very prosperous because they'll use the poor to vote. And a rent freeze will mean that you can keep these people there as long as you can without developing their socio-economic circumstances. So New York will become this big ghetto because there's no consequences of really of bad decisions. You're a criminal, you don't go to jail, you don't pay your bills, you don't lose your house, you don't. So anybody who is any degenerate can just move next to you because there's no social consequence for bad decisions. A very interesting world we're creating in this postmodernist era. And it also indicates how Anglo-American power has fallen. I mean, I have had my issues with Anglo-American power. I don't think you should have been able to call a guy's mother's house, ask him where he is, and then lock her up for conspiracy to when she tell you he's out with his friends on the corner, you lock her up in jail for conspiracy to distribute drugs. Like a mother always knows where her child is. Well, that's the weakness of black of the entire black power movement in general. It's just a bunch of bend over and take finger activists. It's interesting days ahead. But I know I suspect Mamdani will destroy New York. Not only that, many black people that are native to New York for many generations will end up having to flee. This concrete jungle will now become a concrete desert. Well, you know what? At least they'll get the chance to shout at Trump.